What if I told you that the world's most successful investors are not the ones following the hardest method or constantly doing research about the hottest stocks or buying and selling at the perfect time? What if I told you that their method is so simple that anyone, including you, can follow it and become a millionaire? I follow this method myself and it takes me less than 30 minutes a year. It's called passive investing through index funds. And today I'm going to make it so simple and easy to understand. I even have some props that are going to help me explain it. The first time someone explained index funds to me, it was actually my husband, and we were living in London, and this was in 2018. He tried to convince me that I should put my money into index funds, but I was not convinced. He obviously didn't make a very compelling argument, and I invested in startups and in high yield bonds, and I obviously didn't know what I was doing. But that's why I want to explain it to you today in simple terms, so that if you can understand it in a way that it's so simple and in everyday terms, easy to understand, then hopefully the concept is going to sink in and you won't make the same mistakes I did. I'm also going to explain to you why they work so well, and I promise you're going to understand even if you've never invested a single dollar before. But before we start, and if you're new here and you want a solid foundation to investing, I have a free masterclass that's coming up, and that's going to help you and anyone that is a beginner or even advanced investor to understand investing. So if you've been meaning to learn more and understand investing better, sign up using the link in the description. Sorry for the distracting sun on my face during this video. It was shot in my new studio and we only realized it afterwards. Please don't be distracted by the sun or the cat, and focus on the message is still very important, and we'll be better next time. Okay, so first things first, what is an index fund? Let's start by breaking it up into index and fund. An index is just a list of similar but different things. Let's use the cool drink index as example. If someone goes to the grocery store and lists all of the cool drinks that they see, so I don't have all the cool drinks here, but let's imagine there was a limited selection in a very small shop, and they call it the cool drink index. So they write down there's a Red Bull, there's Sprite, there's Stoney Sparletta, Grapetizer, and Coke Zero, because it's a healthy shop. Well, besides for all the other options. But they make a list of all the cool drinks there, and they call it the cool drink index. Then next to all of the cool drinks on the list, they write down the price of each cool drink. So that's as simple as it is. An index is just a list of things that is defined by the description of the index. Now let's talk about fund, because remember we're talking about index funds. A fund is an investment product that you can buy units of. And there are different types of funds, but today we're just focusing on index funds. And typically an investment fund would include a selection of stocks or a basket of stocks. So you can see where I'm going with this, because an index fund would then be a selection or a basket of stocks that represents an index. So that would really just be taking the cool drink index, putting it into a basket or a fund, and then offering it to people so that they can buy a share of it. Don't worry if you don't understand that part yet, I'm going to explain. Let's talk about how this will actually apply to investing. Let's say you can buy the cool drinks now at the price listed in the shop, and then you can resell them later at a profit. But the profit is not guaranteed. Some prices will go up and some will go down, and some will move dramatically in either direction. The problem is there is no way to know in advance if the Stone is going to be more expensive or cheaper later, or whether it's going to be the Coke Zero, because there is a limited amount of them and all of a sudden everyone becomes health crazy. So you could take a bet and say, okay, I think that Sprite is really going to, shoot the lights out in terms of the price that's going to go up, so I'm going to buy a whole case of Sprite. But that's obviously a very risky move, and I'll show you some data points later on exactly how risky it is or how hard it is to make these predictions in the stock market. But also some drinks will just disappear. So now you're buying a case of, let's say, Sparletta. I remember there was this blue Sparletta when I was young, I think like 15 or 20 years ago, and you don't get that anymore. So let's say you bought a case of this and all of a sudden it comes, there's, it's made public, there is some kind of ingredient there that people are not allowed to drink, and it's taken off the market and no one wants to buy it anymore. Now you've got a case, or you took a bet on blue Sparletta and now it's gone. Or Tab. Tab is another good example. My mom used to love Tab. Anyway, back to the point is you don't want to bet on a single drink, hoping that, you're going to buy a case of it and you think that's going to be the drink that's really, the price is really going to go up. And that's what you're going to invest in, because it's obviously quite risky. Why would you not just take a bet on the entire index. Another thing that's great about an index is that it adjusts. So for example, if everyone stops drinking Red Bull because, I don't know, we realize that caffeine is not great for you anymore, then it will be replaced by the next one that's most popular, like Fanta. So now we've got another full index of 6 drinks, and this is updated quarterly based on the 6 most popular ones in the shop, for example. So it stays complete. Drinks that don't make the criteria of the index anymore will fall out and then be replaced by new ones. So what index investing allows you to do is to buy a mixed bag. So you can buy the entire cool drink index without having to worry which ones you should include or not include. And you will automatically have the winners, or the winning ones whose prices will go up in future, included in your basket. But naturally, that means you will also have the losers automatically included in your basket. But at least you didn't bet your whole life savings on Sprite. The winners and the losers will even each other out, and that would create the market average, or the average returns on cool drinks, which will go up as the cool drink industry expands. You might have heard of the S&P 500, and that's a great example of an index because it lists the 500 largest companies listed in the US, and there are many S&P 500 index funds that track the S&P 500 list, so they really just mirror this list and its prices. The MSCI World is another example of a very popular index. It tracks over 1,000 companies across 23 developed markets. And then the MSCI All Country World Index goes even further, so it covers the US, other developed markets and emerging markets, roughly 2,500 companies, and it covers developed and emerging markets, so it's quite diversified. And when you're investing in these index funds, you will automatically own a small piece of all of the companies within that list or on that list. That means you don't have to try and make predictions over who's going to win and who's going to lose. You can just sit back and track the average of the market. Now, the next obvious question is probably, but what if I want above average returns? I don't want to just take the average of the market. I want to make sure that I'm holding the winners. Shouldn't I try to beat the index? And that's an obvious fair question, but the honest answer is it's so hard to beat the market or the index or the average consistently. Even for professionals who get paid, and this is their full-time job, they don't get it right most of the time. So here's the next simple concept to understand, because index funds are passive funds. That means no one is involved in actively selecting the companies that are included. There's no bias or selection. Where actively managed funds would say, we're going to try to beat the average of this basket, and we're going to try and predict which ones are going to perform best in future. So they're going to say, okay, we're going to exclude Sparletta and we're going to exclude Fanta. This is our selection because we think these are going to be the winners in the long term. So obviously they're hoping that they've only got the winners in here and they don't have the losers in here. But the data shows us it is so hard over the long term to actually select the winners in the market. But the problem is, if it's really so clear which cool drink is going to be the winner in the next 5 or 10 years or 20 years, then everyone is going to be buying that cool drink because everyone wants to hold the winners. So that naturally is going to push up the price of the potential winners. And when you pay a high price for a cool drink, then you might not be able to sell it for such a big profit when the price eventually goes up in future. So this is the thinking. First of all, it's so hard to know which stocks are going to win in future. But even if it is clear which ones will going to, let's say for example, AI stocks, which have a lot of hype now, then everyone is going after those stocks, which obviously more demand means the price goes up. And we're not even sure if they will be able to sell it for such a big profit in future. So let's look at how likely it is for these actively managed funds that try to select the best ones to actually outperform just the entire basket of stocks, which is a very simple and easy way to track the market. Because we can look at SPIVA scorecards and they measure how well actively managed funds perform against an applicable index over time. So in simple terms, they're looking at all of these funds that go and make their special selection of stocks. Obviously, there are more than 6 stocks in the world. They make their special selection. They say, okay, this is our selection. This one is going to do better than the average of the market. They go and track how many of these funds actually do better than the average of the market over a long term, over 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And if we look at this data, we'll see that US equity funds over a 20-year period underperformed the index 90% of the time. And for South African global equity funds, over a 10-year period, 100% of global equity funds underperformed the S&P World benchmark over 10 years. And that is actually quite crazy. Why would you still take the chance and bet on a fund that clearly over the long term, if we look at the past data, has underperformed. And the whole reason index funds were invented was to make it easy to track the market and to come out with profits, and that so that you don't have to try and bet and predict which funds or which stocks are going to do better. There's a quote that I love from Morgan Housel, and he says, "You can be an extraordinary investor by earning average returns for an above average period of time." So that's where the real difference comes in. Not to try and select the best funds or which ones you think are going to outperform. It means getting time in the market, so starting as soon as possible and having a long timeline. Investing consistently, because that's something that you can control, the money that you put into the market. You cannot control the returns that you're going to get. And then lastly, obviously, is to keep your fees low, which is very easy through index funds. And I've got lots of videos on that where I explain how it's possible and why it's important to keep your fees low. Ultimately, what you want to achieve is compounding, where your money grows exponentially. And this is possible when you invest consistently, but also when your returns on your investments are reinvested. So that means your money babies start making more money babies. And what's really amazing is if you allow your investments enough time, because this is not a get rich quick thing. This is definitely a slow, steady way of building wealth. But at some point, the growth your investments generate actually outpaces what you've contributed yourselves. So that means your money is growing by more than what you're actually putting into your investment portfolio. And that's exactly how ordinary people over time can build portfolios worth multiple millions. So index investing can seem quite boring because it could literally mean just holding a basket of stocks, continuously putting money into the basket, and you don't have to do any picking. You can sit back and just not look at the market because that's actually your base bet. But it clearly works. And as soon as you can get used to the volatility, then it's also not very stressful, at least not nearly as stressful as stock picking. The most amazing part is that you can beat professionals that are doing this as a full-time job. You can get better returns over a 15 or 20 year period, as the data showed us. It really is that simple. You just need to get started and you need the confidence to remain consistent with your investment contributions. And that's what I'm here to help with. So if I have at least slightly convinced you to consider index investing and you would like to learn more, then I would definitely encourage you to join my masterclass. It's free, it's value packed, and the link is in the description. I really hope to see you there. I'll see you then in the next video. Bye.